I hope everything is good. Today, let's start trigonometric equations. This time, we will solve equations. We will find the solutions, roots, sine and cosine functions or tan functions. And when I look at page 208, you see here is our triangle, right angle triangle, and sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse, y over r. Cosine theta equals x over r. Tan theta equals y over x. So when we, you know the rules before, tan theta equals sine theta over cosine theta. Do not forget that once we will use when we solve the equations. Cosine square theta plus sine square theta equals 1. Do not forget these ones are really important for trigonometric equations. To solve the equation, first, let's start with sine x equals 0.5 from page 208. Sine x equals 0.5. When you consider the equation sine x equals 0.5, how do we find this value of angle? X equals inverse sine of 0.5. Inverse sine 0.5. So when you use calculator, you can find x equals 30 degrees. In degree mode, you will use your calculator in degree mode, and x equals 30 degrees. When we use x equals inverse sine 0.5, x equals 30 degrees. From graph, in the from your book, you can say y equals 0.5, isn't it? Y equals 0.5. Here is, let's change the color of pen. Let's make it red. Here is 0.5. And it's crossing x-axis at 30 degrees. We found it using the calculator. And in the question, when we consider the question, we will find values between negative 360 degree and 360 degree. To find it, we use symmetry. We have symmetry at curve. What is it? At 30 degree, it's crossing to 0.5. Here is our point. And next one, for the positive x-axis, till 360, we have symmetry. At 0.5, we have it's crossing to 150. You see that? So if you see between 150 and 180, it's 30 degree, and 0 and 30 degree, here is 30 degree. So we have symmetry. Use symmetry to find the values. So till 360 degree, do we have more y value 0.5? We do not have here. We just have between 0 and 180 degree. And negative part, when you look at 0.5, it's crossing to at negative 210 and at negative 330. So here is also symmetry. So like when you when you add 180 to 30 for the negative part, it will give us negative 210. And from negative 360 degree, you can also use symmetry again. Here and here will be equal. These are equal using the symmetry. If you have confused, if you didn't understand with this way using the symmetry, we can use quadrant rule. If you remember quadrant rule, all values are positive in the first quadrant, and only sign value is positive in the second quadrant. In third quadrant, 10, and in fourth quadrant, cosine values are positive. So if you remember, we call it all students trust Cambridge. Find values. To find, let's say, sine x, to find value of x, sine x, let's say sine x equals 0.5. And let's find first x values between 0 and 60 degree. 360 degree. 0 and 360 degree. So how do we find x inverse sine? So we found it here. It's here, isn't it? X equals inverse sine 0.5. When you use calculator in degree mode, x equals 30 degree. Before, when you check the question here, is the answer is positive. Sine value positive. In which quadrants we have sine values positive? In the first quadrant and second quadrant. So solutions of sine x equals 0.5 for this function are solutions, two solutions we have in the first quadrant and second quadrant. So when you look at first quadrant, what is the value of it? When you use calculator, it will give us an acute angle. It's 30 degree. It's here, isn't it? We have one more solution. We will find it. It's in second quadrant. To find it, I want to remind you that to find it, I will remind you. If you, we did questions to find acute angle from second quadrant. Let me graph with a different color. Let's change the color of pen, green one. So our second angle is this one. First solution is 30 degree. Second solution is here. In the second quadrant, we will try to find this x value. To find it, if you remember, we find an acute angle between OP line and x-axis. What is it? It will be again 30 degree. So how do we find our second solution, this angle? We know here is 180 degree, and acute angle is 30 degree. 180 minus 30 degree equals 150 degree, isn't it? And 180 degrees in second quadrant. If you write in a calculator to check sine 180 degree in degree mode, it will be equal to 0.5. For the value of y, 0.5 here, so it's crossing to two x values. One is 30 degree, the other one is 150 degree. In the first way, I told you how do we find graphing the sine x or cosine x graph. From the graph, you will use symmetry with a curve. But in the second way, quadrant rule. we know which quadrant we have positive or negative values of sine, cosine, and tan. So we can use quadrant rule to find values. Okay, now let's do worked example 10, page 209. So cosine x equals negative 0.4. X values are between 0 and 360 degree. What will I do to solve this question? Our uh, angle x values are between 0 and 360. So my solutions will be between 0 and 360 degree. Between 0 and 360 degree, here is quadrant. Here is 0 degree, 90 degree, 180, and 270, 360 degree. Okay, look at the question. Our cosine x value is negative. You see here it's negative, negative 0.4. So what will I do? Ask this question. In which quadrants we have cosine values negative? All students trust Cambridge. So in the first and fourth quadrants, we have cosine values positive. So in the second quadrant and third quadrant, we will find our angles from second and third quadrant. So first angle will be from 0 to second quadrant, first solution, and the second solution I will draw with green, and a third one. We will find these angles. To find it, use calculator in degree mode, inverse cosine. Inverse cosine of negative 0.4 equals x. From here, what is the value of x? Value of x equals 113.6 degree. Here is our x value. Is it between 0 and 360 degree? Yes, it is. Is it in second quadrant? Yes. So we need to find second solution. This is our first solution. We will find second solution, which is in third quadrant. To find it, okay, there's a way to find it. 360 minus 130.6 degree. Why I did that? Okay, when you follow the orange one, here is our angle from 0 till second quadrant here. Our angle is 113.6. To find green one, what is our full rotation? 360. So when I subtract from 360 degree, answer will be 246.4. 246.4 degree. This is one way to find it. To find cosine value, we will find two solutions which are negative in second and third quadrant. So for the first one, to find the first one, use calculator. find inverse cosine of 0.4, negative 0.4, and when you write in calculator, the answer will be x value will be equal to 113.6 degree. To find second solution, I will subtract from 360 degree because I'm trying to find in third quadrant. If you can't find it in that way, what can you do? In this quadrant, let me show you this. For example, here is in the second quadrant, and let's deal with the green one, third quadrant. We have angles in second and third quadrant. I told you there is a symmetry between these two solutions. So that means these acute angles will be equal to each other. So since here is 113.6 degree, so here, to find green one, what will I do to find green one? If I find the acute angle here, what is it? I can add 180 plus acute angle and find the value of green angle. So what do we do to find acute angle? What is the value of acute angle here? Let's say acute angle is A here. First, if you find the value of A, you can add and you can find the value of second solution. So how do we find it? Here is the first, when you subtract from 180 minus 113.6 degree, 180 minus 100. You don't have to follow the same way. You can use subtraction from 360 degree, but I'm explaining you there are many ways. So here acute angle will be 66.4 degree. This is A. To find the value of green, question mark, what will I do? Till here, what is the angle? 180 degree. And I told you there is a symmetry, acute angles will be equal. 180 plus 66.4 equals 204, 180 plus 66.4, 246.4 degree. This is the answer. So these acute angles, we found that answers we call A and A. Value of A equals 66.4 degree, and when you add, you can find the second solution. So when you use quadrant rule, you know you have two solutions. Okay, here is the first way. Use inverse cosine of negative 0.4 equals, from here the angle is 113.6 degree. When you subtract from 360 degree, you will find second solution. This is for cosine function for the negative one. Let's do work example 11 from page 210. Now we have tan 2a equals 1.8. Let 2a equals x. Instead of writing 2a, I will write x. So from here, it's the same thing we do. Inverse 10 of 1.8 when you use calculator in degree mode. Why do we use in degree mode? In the question, a values, here is the given, range is given, isn't it? This is the range of a values. Solution of a is between 0 degree and 180 degree. So I use in degree mode. 10 inverse 10, 1.8 equals, sorry, let's go back to question. What is our question? Let's see it first from your book. Negative 1.8. Here will be negative 1.8. In the question, it's given negative 1.8. So we do same. Inverse 10, negative 1.8. When you use calculator, x will be equal to negative 60.95 degree. But it's not in the range. Range is between 0 and 180 degree. What will I do now? Before that one, let's find 10 values for the quadrant rule. In which quadrants do we have 10 values negative? In the second quadrant and fourth quadrant, isn't it? In the second quadrant and fourth quadrant. So when I find quadrants, sorry, let's draw our angle again. Now, where is negative 60.95? It's here, isn't it? Negative 60.95. But as I told you, we will find positive values. Positive values, to find it, I will add 180 degree. So when you add negative 60.95 plus 180 degree, it equals to 119.05. Okay, why did I do that? Since our angle is negative. In the question, range is between 0 and 180, so it's asking us to find the positive angles. That's why I add 180 degree. When I add 180 degree, 119.05 is one of x value. Now, to find the other one, I will add more 180 degree. When I add 180 to find second one, let me write x2 and x1. Okay, x2 and x1. So what will I do to find x2? 119.05 degree plus 180 will give us our second solution. X2 will be 299.05. Okay, you could ask, teacher, these are values, for example, for the second solution of x is greater than 180. Yes, but I will find the value of a. If you remember, x is 2 times a. So what will I do? I will divide that x solutions by 2 to find value of a. So to find value of a, 119.05 degree divided by 2. Do not forget x equals 2 times a. So it equals to 59.5. 59.5 degree. So here is our first solution. It's between, here is our first solution. It's between 0 and 180 degree. Now, to find the second one, I will divide 299.05 divided by 2, 299.05 divided by 2. It equals to 149.5. Is it between 0 and 180 degree? Yes, it is. So this is also second solution. We have two solutions for the value of A between 0 and 180. What are they? First one is 59.5 degree and the second one is 149.5 degree. It's in, if you have seen this in second quadrant, you see here. So here what we have done, if our angle is negative and the range of values are positive, we will make it positive. To make it positive, if you add 180 degree, x will be 119.0.5. So when you calculate it, it will give you the same answer with negative 1.8. Negative 1.8 it will give. If you write 10, 119.005, it will give us negative 1.8. Now let's do next example, page 211, worked example from your book, page 211. So sine 2a minus pi over 3 equals 0.6 is between 0 and pi. In the question, the range of values are defined by radians. So we will use radians. Okay, our calculator will be in radian mode. To find sine 2a minus pi over 3, what will I do? Let's say 2a minus pi over 3 x. Let 2a minus pi over 3 equals x. Sine x, inverse sine x, inverse sine x, inverse sine of 0.6 equals x. X will be equal to which value? X equals to 0. In radians, do not forget, in radians, x equals 0.6435 radians. So our value is positive our values will be between 0 and 180 or 0 and pi in the first and second quadrant, because sign values in the first and second quadrant, they are positive values. Now, what do we do? First, what is x? X is 2a minus pi over 3. 2a minus pi over 3. So we found x 0 point, it's 0 0.6435 equals 2a minus pi over 3. You will isolate a, you will leave a alone in right hand side of an equation. You will take pi over 3 to the other side of an equation, and you will simplify by 2. Value of a will be equal to 0.845. It's between 0 and pi. And this is the first value. If you remember to find the value of sign second for the second quadrant, what do? We subtract from pi minus 0.6435, and the answer equals pi minus 0.6435, 2.498. This is our second x. We find second x in second quadrant. So that's 0.645 is here. 0.6435 is here in the first quadrant. But in the second quadrant, to find the value of solution, we will subtract from pi. So I will equal 2.498 equals 2a minus pi over 3. I will solve the equation. I will isolate a. To find the value of a, I will take pi over 3 to the other side of equation, and I will divide both sides by 2. When you simplify, a equals, let me write it, okay, 2.498 minus pi over 3 equals 2a. Use calculator. You can use calculator and divide both sides by 2. A will be equal to 1.77 radians. You see, we solved the question in radians mode. So how many solutions we have? We have 2 solutions between 0 and pi. First one is a equals 0.845, and the second one is a equals 1.77. We have done our questions. Is there any question? We just have 5 minutes. Before we finish, I can answer one question. If you have any question, you can ask. Any question? So from your book, when we are waiting for the question, let me show you here. Always we use symmetry. Symmetry. Here, for example, look at here. We have what? At when cosine value negative 0.4, our angle is 113.6 and 246.4. Here is we have symmetry. Distance between let's say distance between 0 and 113.6 and distance between 246.4 between 246.4 and 360, they're equal. So you can use symmetry or quadrant rule to solve questions. See you next lesson. Enjoy with your day. There's a question?
Teacher, hi.
Yes, Pramila.
Can you go to the last exercise?
Okay, let's. Here.
Yes, can you go down, please? When you solve this A, can you explain like how? Because you said that we have to put pi over 3 to the other side, but you didn't put plus, it continues minus. Like,
Sorry, plus. It will change. Thank you, Pramila. I made a mistake there. When we take to the other side, it will be plus.
okay.
Isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you, Pramila. That means you are watching
You're
carefully. So when you use in a calculator, you will write this 2.498 plus pi over 3. Since here is negative, it will pass positive.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy with your day. See you next lesson.